And we are here, my friends, on another episode of LatiNation Football Club. I am your host, Marcelino Ortiz, and right now I'm here with the whole crew because today it is the most anticipated special that we have, and it is the Clausura 2026 Liga MX special, my friends. Yes, we are going to break down the whole season. We have the home games for Tigres and Juárez, masculino y femenino. That's right, hombres y mujeres, we have them here on LatiNation Football Club, my friends. Are you guys ready for an amazing tournament?
So pumped.
Already.
This
Yes, let's do
is
it.
going to be crazy. You are going to narrate, and you are going to narrate, and you're going to narrate, and you're going to narrate. We all going to narrate como Oprah. Pero, my friends, let's start at the beginning because we have a jam-packed month of January here on LatiNation. My friends, we start with Tigres versus Puebla Femenil. One of important games because it's going to show how the champions, las Amazonas, las Tigresas, that they're the current champions, are after the offseason. Camila, now, there's another game that I feel like is going to be more relevant in this beginning of the season, and that's Juárez versus León. Break it down for us.
This is going to be a really great match. You had Juárez, who was sitting at 8th place, and León, who was sitting right below them at 9th place. So these, really competitive teams that were directly competing with each other for that spot to the playoffs. It's going to be a great benchmarker for both of these teams to see how have we, grown in the past season, how have the playoffs shaped us, and, I think it's going to be a good teller for how the rest of the season might play out.
Another game that you are looking forward in January?
On the men's side, we have Juárez contra Chivas, and who else better to break it down than our Chiva Mayor?
El Chiva.
Ay, Dios mío, what a game for me, what a game for all of us here in LatiNation. We're going to have Juárez versus Chivas, just like Cami said. Juárez coming with a new coach, Pedro Caixinha, a known coach in Liga MX, campeón con Santos. He played with he coached Cruz Azul. A lot of changes from Juárez that just came from a new format of qualifying to the Liguilla for the first time with the new team, the new name. And Chivas, closing the tournament as the best team of the past tournament. Now let's see if Juárez and Pedro Caixinha can find the formula to stop a very dynamic Chivas team that is going to have some new additions like Brian Gutierrez, Sepúlveda, the forward, and Ricardo Marín as well. Y también se va gente como Chicharo, Alan Pulido, Eric Gutierrez, Alan Mozo. So let's see. I'm very excited about this match. I'm very excited about being able to do a Chivas game for the first time in my life. I cannot believe it, so I'm looking forward to it.
I love it.
And we're also going to have, a dream country. We're also going to have another really, really good match that I know you're going to be so happy to be working on. Tigres contra Pumas. Marcelino, dinos.
Los Pumitas in LatiNation, my friends. The most significant moment of my broadcasting career is approaching fast because I'm going to be calling not only a Tigres game here at home in LatiNation, but also el equipo de mis amores, mis Pumitas. Let's talk about Pumas for a moment. They were close to being relevant in Apertura, but no cigar, my friends. A lot of critique around the work that Efraín Juárez is doing as a coach. They were bright moments, but now we have a new team. We have Juninho that came straight from Botafogo after winning Copa Libertadores, and the rumor mill is nonstop. We heard Chicho Arango, we heard James Rodriguez. The only reality that we see is that the biggest name that I think is going to get signed for Pumas is either Sebastián Córdoba from Tigres or Los Hermanos Flores. That's right, Marcelo and Tatiana both are in rumors to do a transfer. The Tigres a Pumas, the Felino a Felino. That pipeline has been there all the time. Now, let's talk about more games because January is jam-packed. And another big game that I'm really, really tracking is Juárez contra Cruz Azul. Alex Crespo, break it down for me. Juárez was a big team. They had great moments. We saw many games together. Y Cruz Azul no me preocupo because they always Cruz Azulean. But break it down for us.
I mean, Juárez versus Cruz Azul. This is a very big name team versus another very big name team. I mean, this is going to be, a game where we see teams showing that they're still mad about how they ended off the season this past season because we have Cruz Azul, who obviously lost to Tigres in the semifinals. They were so close yet so far. And then we have our querido Juárez, who ended up losing to Los Campeones, Toluca, in the quarterfinals. And I think this is going to be a game where they're going to be showing up and proving that they didn't have that extra oomph to, make it to the final and prove that they had what it took to win it all.
Cruz Azul, my friend. Cruz Azul is the history of Cruz Azul. It
Karma,
does not
karma,
surprise me.
Marcelino. It was karma.
But the reality is that there's more games in January.
Yes.
The other game that I really want to break down, Cami, it's an important game in the feminine side
Yes.
because our good friend Luis Cárdenas will be looking forward to this game.
He might be a little scared.
Tigres contra Atlas.
Yep.
Ay, ay, ay.
This is going to be a really interesting match. I mean, we know Tigres as campeonas, number 1 in the standings versus Atlas, number 12, not performing that well throughout the season. But the reason I think Atlas might be a little scared is because Tigres is coming in with reinforcements. 2 big transfers from the NWSL from teams like San Diego Wave, Houston Dash, and these are, big teams. The NWSL is known for having that great parity within the league. The competitiveness is there. So I think that getting to Tigres, it's a really big reinforcement for them, and they're going to be really dangerous.
Amazing. Thank you, Camila, for that.
And Marcel, let's not forget, you're forgetting one of the most amazing matches coming up. Tigres contra Toluca.
Tigres
for,
contra Toluca.
For the men's side, yeah.
Yeah.
La revancha de la final.
Yeah, well, you were talking about how, like, a lot of sentiments and ideas from last season might kind of boil over into this season, as they usually do. But to have the finals kind of like a second act come in this early on in the season is going to be absolutely amazing. What does it mean for both sides? So, I don't know. Tigres are Tigres. They're looking strong. They really want it. Obviously, we know how the finals ended last season. I mean, it was an absolute epic battle. They just fell short. It just didn't work out for Tigres, so they're going to have this motivation. They have a little bit less of a squad continuity, a little bit more uncertainty. Angel Correa, Bruneta's still there, but still, Toluca's going to have a little bit more of that continuity from last season, a little bit less uncertainty. It's going to be a tough call. I don't know. What do you guys think is going to plan out? I can see Toluca still coming out on top just because that motivation that Tigres might bring from not having won, I don't know if it's enough to put them over. But they got something else that we were talking about before the show. Toluca is fighting to make a name for themselves as being one of the top squads. Even though they have the numbers to prove it, there's still this certain respect that they want to gain to become a household names like America, like Chivas, like Pumas.
Yeah.
So.
Well, Toluca is doing so much better than Pumas.
They
Pumas
are,
has not
but
been
that's
a
kind of the
champion
irony in it.
in
That's kind of the irony.
years. So it's time to break down the month of February. El mes del amor y la amistad, my friends. But I don't see a lot of love and friendship in this game, my friends. I see a lot of intense competition. Let's start with a game that we all gonna enjoy hating because that's how we do here on LatiNation. Juárez versus América Femenil, my friends.
Penal para el
Los
América.
de casa, ya. Penal para el América desde ahorita, that's right, Chiva. And then we have also Tigres contra Cruz Azul to kick off the month. Camila, what is the relevance of these two games?
Okay, breaking down Juárez contra América, this is going to be a really intense and fiery match. I think we're going to see América come out strong because you even saw it in the final, the pain of losing the championship against Tigres. América worked hard, I'm not going to lie. They worked hard, they showed up real effort, but at the end of the day, it just wasn't enough. So I think they're really going to come out with a lot of fire against Juárez, and it's going to be very telling to see how Juárez handles this intense pressure.
Tigres Cruz Azul, it
Yes.
seems to me that it's going to go for Tigres.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's definitely going to go for Tigres. But speaking of another exciting Tigres games, on the men's side where they should perform, Tigres versus Santos. Alex, break it down.
Tigres versus Santos. I mean, I think already this match is going to be a very one-sided match. I mean, Tigres have just been nonstop going, to the top in this league. And Santos, it's just not too special. I mean, they had James, but, no, wait, that was Leon.
That was Leon.
Never mind. They don't have James. But,
Wish they did.
But in the last 6 games, I mean, Tigres have been dominating against Santos.
Without
So
doubt.
I think this, this train of domination is still going to continue with Tigres.
Let's not forget, Santos is in the middle of a Club de Cuervos story right now. Not too long ago, less than a year ago, a 24-year-old was appointed as the president of the team, and he was the son of the owner. So it goes without saying that the team struggled badly last season. But, Chiva, towards the end of the season, we saw a Santos that little by little start playing better. They start climbing up to the point that they were in the conversation to qualify through the play-in to the playoffs now. So, cuidado, porque there might be something there. Now, my friends, we have to go on a break. Thank you for the breakdown. January, it's in the books on this show, but we are excited for what's to come. Don't go anywhere. You're watching LatiNation Football Club.
Who are we looking at? We're looking at SGA because of its availability and consistency. It's Jalen Brunson doing his usage and his leadership. It's Jaylen Brown for how they're playing. It's Cade Cunningham because Detroit's in the top of the East. The MVP talk is going to be wild, and it'll be interesting to watch. MVPs just don't dominate. They survive the season.
Pro basketball today, only on SportsGrid.
The Steelers get their touchdown, and they miss the extra point. It was Lamar Jackson who made the plays to get the Ravens into what should have been easy field goal territory. So explain to me how in the world we can look at last night's game as, well, there you go, can't trust Lamar Jackson.
The Craig Carton Show, only on SportsGrid.
Maybe the fact was that the kicker just blew a 44-yard field goal. Now, by the way, I feel horrible for this kid, Tyler Loop, who made every single field goal this season 44 yards or less. But the extra point that was missed just before that by Chris Boswell was the only extra point that he missed all season long. So did they bless that same holy water when Boswell missed the extra point? Come on, guys. Let's get it.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
Class is in session. Today, let's talk about the teaser. A teaser is a multi-leg bet where you shift the point spread in your favor. You get better numbers, but every selection has to win. It doesn't matter what you bet if you don't have the insights. Tune into SportsGrid and get ahead of the class.
And we are back, my friends. This is LatiNation Football Club. I am your host, Marcelino Ortiz, and I'm here con el Chiva Mayor, Nik Z, mejor conocido como el Compa Nick, Camila Ortiz, y Alex el Brujo Crespo, my friends. Now, Chiva, so many games in the month of February, my friends. So many games. But one important one, Tigres versus Juárez. El clásico de LatiNation. That's how I'm going to call it. From now on, Tigres versus Juárez, Juárez versus Tigres, the LatiNation Clásico. Break it down for us.
I mean, it's going to be interesting. Juárez showing people that they have a really, really strong team. And now, you know, having a new coach like Pedro Caixinha coming into a new era of Juárez versus a Tigres that is going to do a lot of changes. Córdoba is going to get out. Aquino is leaving after 10 years, and there's problems there with Aquino. I think I'm excited about the fact that Juárez can bring so much to the table that people underestimate the power of Pedro Caixinha and the players that he's bringing to kind of run around this great team. I'm excited for the match, but I like I always say, the home team is going to be Tigres, and sabes, la hinchada is always going to make a difference.
El Volcán pesa. Now, another game that for me is very interesting, especially here in the U.S. audience, is no other than Necaxa playing on LatiNation. Necaxa, as many of you guys know, is a team that has increasingly grown in popularity here in the United States because the ownership of Eva Longoria and the TV series that has been created around the team. Nick, what are your expectations for Necaxa? This is a cult team in Mexico, multiple times champion in the 90s, but that kind of went into, you know, people start forgetting about how good Necaxa was. He was the father of America for many years. Do you think Necaxa can be a protagonist in the next season?
Yeah, and it's going to be all thanks to Eva Longoria. She's going to... No. I don't think we should underestimate the value of history and pride in this, in any sport, but especially in football, and especially in Liga MX. I think that there is a great storyline there, and I think that if they can get their ducks in a row, if they can revive that past glory, it can be something beautiful. And it's something, although Juárez is a very new team, it's kind of the opposite, like a decade old with Juárez, but it's similar into what he was saying with Juárez, where they have something there. There's this magic behind them. It's for a different reason, but I think Necaxa possesses the same kind of thing. And we'll see how it plays out. And I think they have the ability to, for sure.
Now, after the Fernando Gago fiasco with Necaxa, we told you guys, Necaxa, we told you, don't bring Fernando Gago. He's going to take your money and your air conditioner. Well, he did again. Now they got this new coach, Martin Barini, that is bringing new faces to Necaxa, and this is going to make it very interesting. I'm telling you guys, this season for La Liga MX is going to be really, really good. All of the teams are, bringing new coaches, new players, and it's going to be a very intense Liga MX Clausura tournament. So I'm looking forward for that.
Now, we are going to close the month with two very important games, my friend. Tigres contra Pachuca and Juárez contra el Atlas de mi querido amigo Luis. Which one do you guys think is going to be the high voltage game? Closing
Pachuca,
the month
Tigres for sure.
Yeah, Pachuca.
Tigres Pachuca, it's a game of new powers, right? Pachuca and Tigres are the newest teams that have become dominant in Liga MX. Pachuca, for me, is probably the most advanced infrastructure in Mexican football. They have the best training ground. They have one of the best stadiums. And just the general infrastructure of the team is very, very advanced compared to the medium in Liga MX. But Tigres es el equipo de LatiNation. You cannot bet against LatiNation, my friend. That's why you need to go right now and download the app so you can stream the games, rewatch LatiNation Football Club whenever you want, and see all of these beautiful faces and this deep knowledge of football that we have here, my friends. Now, my friends, I want to announce one of the biggest games in Femenil that we're going to have. That's right, El Clásico LatiNation. That's what I'm calling. That's what we're all calling it. Juárez versus Tigres, my friend. What a game. This is a redo of a very, very important playoff game from last season. Camila, break it down for us.
Yeah, absolutely. If we think back to the playoffs, Tigres versus Juárez, it was supposed to be and expected to be a somewhat easy game for Tigres, right? They had been dominating the entire season, but when it came down to it, Juárez gave amazing performances and really gave Tigres a run for their money. It was a surprise for a lot of people. So I think the rematch of it, there's going to be intense feelings. Both of the teams are really going to want to show up. But we have to note that both of these teams have really strong transfers coming in for this next season. On Tigres, especially, they have two really big NWSL players, Diana Ordóñez coming from Houston and Maria Sanchez coming from San Diego Wave. Again, these are two top-performing teams. So, Juárez does have some good transfers, but they're on the younger side. They're looking for more depth in their roster. End of the day, this is going to be an extremely important game. Make sure to download our app so that you don't miss it.
Let's talk about a little bit of the new rules that we're going to have on Liga MX for the next tournament. That's right, direct liguilla, no more playing. Nada de que, termino en 10, maybe I qualify to... No. The top 8 teams will advance directly to liguilla. And guess what, my friends? This is right off the press. There's a new change of rules for Liga MX, and it's a rule that has been in the past, and it came back, and I'm very happy about it because the teams that qualify to the playoffs can now call reinforcement from the teams that did not qualify for the playoffs. That's right, my friends. Se las dejo para que se la aprendan because the next playoffs of Liguilla are going to be crazy. Los refuerzos regresan a Liga MX, and let's talk about the month of March because it's all about Los Regios, because we kick the month with one of the most expected games of the season, Tigres versus Monterrey, El Clásico Regio, one of the most passionate games in all of the match days of Liga MX. Let's open the floor, open conversation. How wild are we going to get supporting Tigres against Monterrey? Que ya no tiene a Sergio Ramos, así que ya no me importa. Break it down. Give me something, guys.
I mean, El Clásico Regiomontano, one of the most passionate games in La Liga MX, and it's not just because I say it's because they show it and every match that they play. Now, in El Volcán, it's gonna be a total party. Yeah. I think Tigres loves to play Monterrey at home. I think they're gonna show who the city belongs to, and expect to see a lot of goals.
It's an open game.
An open game. With derbies like this,
the difference is going to come down to a small stretch of time within the match. It's going to be a free kick. It's going to be, keep your eyes on how these teams handle corner kicks as well. It's going to be absolutely, when you break down the two head-to-head, I know that Tigres have had the edge, let's say over the past 5 matches. I think Tigres won the last 3 at least. They haven't lost any. It's been draws on the other 2 sides. But still, it's going to come down to almost a randomness, luck that you get in these derbies, these magical moments. A lot of goals, like Chiva said. It's going to be fascinating.
Montón de goles, my friends. We have to go on a break. Don't go anywhere. You're watching LatiNation Football Club.
Let's play a little buy or sell. I think it's pretty evident that despite being one of the best tight ends in the history of the NFL, Travis Kelce's play and physicality and everything, with all due respect, took a big step back. This was easily his worst physical season of all. He just didn't look like himself. Travis Kelce will retire after the season. Buy or sell?
Yeah, I'm probably 60-40 on this that he retires. The only thing I'd say that maybe he returns is because he doesn't want to end the way it ended, not making the playoffs and that sort of thing. But let's just say for Gales and Mahomes, he isn't going to be ready for September or October. And unless they get a really good veteran quarterback, maybe he doesn't want to deal with that either. Go through a training camp and he may not make the playoffs either next year. So I'm probably 60-40. I think he's done. Too bad. Hall of Fame career. I guess good luck with Travis Swift and your podcast with Jason.
I'm buying this. Andy Reid addressing this question this week. Why? He could have just deferred and said, I don't know, we'll see. Fully answered the question about this maybe being his last game. What does that tell you? He knows. Everybody knows. I'm not 60-40, 90-10. I'm on buy. Bo Nix versus Caleb Williams. You'd rather have Nix over Caleb Williams in a dynasty league.
That's a tough one. I think I'm going to go Caleb here, mainly because he has more running ability than Nix. I think he'll also stay healthier than Nix. I might like his receivers more as well. He's got Dunze, he's got you got DJ Moore, you got the good tight ends here. Probably do lean towards Williams here. Not by a hell of a lot. It wouldn't be an easiest choice here, but I'm going to go with Caleb Williams here.
I would agree. It's not that I think that Ben Johnson is a better coach than Sean Payton. I think Ben Johnson is better for Caleb Williams than Sean Payton will be for Bo Nix. I think running is going to be a big part of what Denver does in the future. So there you go. I'll sell.
Fantasy Sports Today. Friday starting at 3 p.m. Only on SportsGrid.
And we are back, my friends. This is LatiNation Football Club, and we are breaking down the upcoming tournament Clausura 2026 de la
Gloriosa Liga MX.
That is right, my friends. And the most important game of the season, at least for us, is el Clásico LatiNation. We already covered the Clásico LatiNation de mujeres, pero el Clásico LatiNation de hombres, my friends, is going to be here. Tigres versus Juárez. And it's an important game because it's going to be towards the end of the season. And let's remember, this is important, guys. This tournament will be played at certain points without national team members. That is right. That will make this tournament very special and will open the door for many teams to get an edge towards the end of the season. And this game could be one of those because Tigres has a lot more national players than Juárez. And we might see that Juárez has an edge on this game. Chiva, what are your expectations?
Very simple, very fast. Juárez is going to defeat Tigres.
Oh, what?
En el Volcán, believe it or not.
No.
Caixinha is going to find the formula to defeat Tigres. But it's okay because, Tigres are going to be doing good during the season.
They're going to be already qualified.
Juárez is going to need it to make it to the playoffs. So that's my reason.
I'm hoping that we see a Juárez that really delivers on the promise that we saw last season. For me, the most important factor is the return of Rodolfo Pizarro, a player that was lost, a very big promise of the Mexican national team, went to Miami, didn't do much, and then he tumbled around many teams until he landed to Juárez. In Juárez, there's a second life for him, and I'm very, very excited. Now, Nick, I know this is a game that you might even go and hang out there.
Yeah.
El Clásico de la Frontera, my friend. Juárez versus Cholos.
Yeah.
What are you expecting of that game?
I spent a lot of time in Tijuana. Don't ask why, but this is when we think of border teams. I feel like Juárez. We keep talking about Juárez here, but hey, it's one of our squads, right? They're gonna take the crown as the border team in the league. What better, they are literally on the border. The stadium is in the shadow of the literal border wall. it is a tale of two cities, Juarez, El Paso. Can you really separate the two at times? You know, you can run a border through it, but this is a team that's co-owned by rich people on both sides. And so this is literally the epitome of a border town. Xolos, on paper, probably a better squad, let's be honest. But if there is a team that is going to benefit from these changes in, you know, getting rid of the play-ins, for example, it's going to be squads like Juarez, and Juarez, they have a shot.
And Nick, I have a quick question for you.
Yeah.
With Xolos, how big of a difference do you think this signing of Martinez, Joseph Martinez, if I recall, how big of a difference is this signing going to make for that match?
Literally a game changer. Literally a game changer. This is huge for Xolos. This is going to be a breakout moment for them, make it or break it. Like last year was for Juarez, getting that far as they did. There's no going back after that. You set a certain standard for yourself. I think Martinez is going to be like a total bar lifter for the Xolos.
And Xolos was already playing a very
they're
high
already
level.
great.
Last playoffs, they did a really, really good effort, making it all the way. And now, let's not forget, Gilberto Mora is going to be serving balls to Joseph Martinez. Ahí te lo dejo para que te emociones, papá. This is going to be a dangerous team. Pero los Juárez son bravos, and they will prevail, my friends. Don't forget that. Now, let's talk about two games that are going to happen in LatiNation. The same game for men and women, and there's two people that are pretty excited about that. Tigres versus Chiva, masculino y femenino. Ladies first.
Yep.
Tigres versus Chiva. Chivas is growing in the female game. Talk to us. What are you expecting? Is this going to be a hard game for Tigres?
Yeah, absolutely. It's without a doubt going to be a hard game for Tigres. I mean, Chivas was sitting comfortably in 6th place last season in the standings, and they have some pretty exciting transfers. Jasmine Casares coming from the United States. This is not coming from the United States, coming from our very own Juarez. Juarez, this is a transfer. She has also been a standout player on the Mexican national team attacking. So this is going to be huge for Chivas. It's going to be, you know, a difficult feat for Tigres. As we know, their defense can at times sometimes struggle when they come across other star players in the league.
It's going to be a tough match for las Amazonas. Chivas is trying to grow, not only on the women's side, but also coming back to the glory days in the men's side. Chiva, todo el mundo te conoce, todo el mundo sabe a quién le vas. This is a divided heart right here, Tigres versus Chivas. Break it down.
I don't know if a divided heart, but but look, man, I think it's gonna be a match where we're gonna see a lot of goals. The dynamic of Chivas, how they like to play, how they like to put high pressure all the time. I'm going to be a brujo, like today's a brujo day, I guess, the last day of the year. It's going to be a 3-3 match. Exciting match. Tigres going up 2-0, then Chivas going up 3-2, and then at the end of the match, Angelito Correa tying the game for Tigres.
Oh my God.
Very
getting
political.
specific.
Very political of Chiva. Unfortunately, we come to the end of the show, my friends. Thank you for being here with us. And you, the MVP of LatiNation Football Club, thank you for choosing to share this space every week here on LatiNation. That's right, my friends. Download the app, follow the games, and join us, this beautiful crew of misfit ballers and excellent analysts, my friends. See you next time. This is LatiNation Football Club.
Feliz año!
Woo!
OK Dubs has to go back to his roots. I'm not a Jets fan, I'm not a Giants fan, and neither one of those teams even play in New York. But I'm a New Yorker through and through, despite where my mail gets sent. And I will not stand for the Jets to be dragged through the mud in this way. Not gonna happen. So Dante Moore, if you do leave, you should be so lucky to fly the plane.
Game time decisions only on SportsGrid.
Who are we looking at? We're looking at SGA because of his availability and consistency. It's Jaylen Brown to do his usage and his leadership. It's Jaylen Brown for how they're playing. It's Cade Cunningham because Detroit's in the top of the East. The MVP talk is going to be wild, and it'll be interesting to watch. MVPs just don't dominate. They survive the season.
Pro basketball today, only on SportsGrid.
Maybe the fact was that the kicker just blew a 44-yard field goal. Now, by the way, I feel horrible for this kid, Tyler Loop, who made every single field goal this season 44 yards or less. But the extra point that was missed just before that by Chris Boswell was the only extra point that he missed all season long. So did they bless that same holy water when Boswell missed the extra point? Come on, guys. Let's get it.
Newswire. Only on SportsGrid.
The Steelers get their touchdown, and they miss the extra point. It was Lamar Jackson who made the plays to get the Ravens into what should have been easy field goal territory. So explain to me how in the world we can look at last night's game as, well, there you go, can't trust Lamar Jackson.
The Craig Carton Show. Only on SportsGrid.